Okay, it's another one of these. And last time we took the mystical Violet Orlandi and we created the ultimate blood hunter, Orlandi von Hellison. And that was awesome. But this time I think we're going to do a little bit more, a little bit different, a little bit more tanky. Yeah, we're going to take the tech and make him tank the raging tech. And I don't think you're ready for this at all.
It's time for reaction. Welcome in. Old school nerd.
Now, of course, this is just for fun, and I've known Tank now for a few months. Great guy, awesome dad, super husband, but I don't think he's much of a D&D player that I know of, which makes it even better. So this is what we're going to do. I know what you're thinking, like, old school, why didn't you find a picture with more beard on Tank? And I tried. I would look through his entire Instagram, and all of his really good pictures are either with his wife or with his daughter. And there's no way I'm putting a picture of his daughter on my stream about Dungeons and Dragons. That's just weird. And I'm certainly not going to put a picture of him and his wife there, because there's no reason to even look at his face when you have a picture of his wife, because the guy, he married up a lot. Yeah. I don't even know how he pulled that one off. Here's Tank, and his wife's up in this league up here. Nice guys finish first, I guess. All right, here we go. So let's get this ugly mug out of the way. All right, D&D Beyond. Let's bring it up. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Tank the Raging Tech. Let's make this a little bigger so we can all see it. Get out of the way, D&D Beyond. Always in the way. Okay, so here we go. Tank the Raging Tech. We got his picture here. Tank the Raging Tech. I put Raging Tech. I think it's kind of that's just for me. Okay, so here we go. What are we gonna make Tank? Well, we had a lot of different ideas, and I thought, let's make him the ultimate fighting machine. What if we gave them the abilities of the fighter with all the options of massive melee abilities, but then we attached the rage of a barbarian? Is it possible? Absolutely. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to take this character all the way to level 8 on this build. Now, we all know that on my games that we play every Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, all the characters are currently level 6, level 7, level 8 in that area. And all new characters currently on the Tuesday night late night stream, where we're doing Monster Hunter one-offs that almost anyone can join with us, we usually start those characters at a minimum of 3, usually around 6 is where we're at right now. So, but for this build, so I can show you how Tank can become the ultimate warrior, not the guy with the paint that did this. No. The ultimate melee attack fighter with a beard. I'm going to show you how to take all the abilities of the fighter and stack on top of it rage. Now, this is where we're going to start. We got a name, we got a picture. Could have had a better picture, but anyway. Let's go into the races. Now, because he is what he is, there are a lot of races that do very well as fighters. But for the instance of this, we're also going to do a variant human. Now, some people will be like, well, why you keep doing this? Don't ask. This is just because I want to be able to use the extra feat ability. Now, languages, doesn't really matter. We're going to let him speak Draconic. He can talk to dragons. Yay. I'm going to pick the origins for languages and skills. That'll give him another language. So let's choose Draconic. And let's let him talk to... we'll let him speak Dwarvish too. Why not? Okay, ability score increase. Now, this is where it comes into play. Now, because he's a fighter barbarian in that combination, we're always going to do Constitution and we're always going to do Strength. Because both of those classes, that's what you need. Now, a lot of people will say, well, what about Dexterity? I understand that, and that could be part of it, but when you're talking fighter and we're talking about melee abilities, you can do either finesse weapons, lighter weapons, sometimes two-handed, and you use Dexterity for those. But we're going Great Weapon Polearm Master. We're taking the biggest weapons possible, and those are all Strength. So we're definitely doing Constitution and Strength. His proficiencies, we're doing an Origin proficiency. We're going to give him Athletics. And his feat of choice for this one, we're doing Great Weapon Master. Now, this one will give him, when he does a critical hit with a melee weapon and reduce a creature's hit point to 0, he gets to make an extra melee attack as a bonus action. Before you make a melee attack with a heavy weapon that you are proficient with, you can declare, I'm using Great Weapon Master. It will drop 5 points off of your hit roll, but if you do make a hit, plus 10 in your attack rolls. Because fighters have multiple attacks, on their first attack of a roll, and this is even before we start engaging with the Barbarian Rage abilities, let's say he makes an attack, and you find out that the animal or the creature you're attacking has a very low DC. Some animals, if they're slow moving, have a hit DC of 10, 11. And if you have a proficiency of +6, +7 on your Great Weapon, the odds of you not getting, even with the -5 to hit, not getting at least a 10? Once you realize that animal or that creature has a low DC, then you're screaming Great Weapon Master all day long. Because a lot of times, when you have creatures in Dungeons and Dragons that have a very low DC or AC or armor class, they usually have a lot of hit points to mitigate that. Whereas you have creatures that are extremely hard to hit, they have a very high armor class AC, but they have very few hit points. When you come up against one of those and you're rolling against, and the person in front of you, let's say you have a ranger on your team. Ranger rolls, and he has a very high initiative because that's the way he's got himself set up. And he shoots an arrow, and he gets a 10. And the Dungeon Master says, hit! Yeah. Great Weapon Master, I'll take my 5-point penalty. I'm going to lay this guy out. Those things can come around. Plus, once we do Polearm Master, it's going to be ugly. Let's move on to the next part. We're choosing a class. We're going to take Fighter first. Now, he's going to be a Fighter Barbarian, but we're not going to enact the Barbarian features until level 6, actually level 7. So we're going to go the first 6 levels of a Fighter, get all the extra attack bonuses in there, the extra feats, make sure we have everything stacked up. Then, once we have that together, we're going to add 2 levels of Barbarian for 7 and 8. And then everything after that, we're going right back into Fighter. Now, which means when we get to level 18, 19, and 20, you won't get that 5th attack roll. But because you'll be able to rage and mitigate damage in a way that you've never seen, and all your maneuvers will be able to be done in rage, it's go time. There's a lot of times when this particular class, I've never delved in it before, but everyone I've talked to said, have you ever seen the 2 Barbarian max out Fighter build? And I was like, no. And they're like, it is nuts. If you build it right, and you get the right weapons and items, and you set your strategy correctly, you can literally one guy, run in there, do your martial attack variances, use your critical rolls. As a battle master, you have all your maneuvers, and you're doing it while raging. Now, because of a Barbarian, the rage feature and reckless attack don't do really well with heavier armor. So what happens is you have to use the fact that the fighter can use multiple levels of armor. And fighters have a tendency to be heavy armor, medium armor, and of course, if you want to, unarmored, which for a fighter is insanely a bad idea. However, once you do your first level of Barbarian at 7, drop it to medium armor, or go unarmored because the rage bonus will help you out with mitigating damage. Literally, even though your AC will drop significantly, you get half damage on everything other than psychic damage. And with the right item drop, if you can negotiate it with your party members, the first item that drops that mitigates psychic damage, if they give it to you, it's going to be really hard to hurt you to a point where you can be one-shot, even by a dragon. So let's continue on. We're going to take fighter. Hit points, proficiencies, okay, fighter skills. Because we're doing strength and constitution, let's go with the ones that are going to work with that. We can take intimidation, perception, survival. I like to do intimidation in this instance for that. And let's do perception. I know it seems like it's weird, but you don't want to run into something. You want that proficiency in perception. So if you do roll a perception and you get into a situation where they're like, there is a particular something that dungeon master has snuck away, when you're prepping to attack and you're thinking about charging in or dashing in, you may just want to roll that perception check to see if there's anything out of the ordinary. Because once you build this character, once you start literally mowing through NPCs and ads, almost every encounter, after a while, the dungeon master is going to start plotting against you, putting little things that are hidden without a perception check that can ruin your dash, ruin your charge. For all you know, you could wind up going against something that you think is a benign enemy, and it winds up being possessed by a warlock or possessed by some kind of magic enchanter, and there's a psychic damage penalty on your first attack that you didn't see, or you didn't notice that there was an amulet or there was a binding collar or some kind of aura that was set up for you. Having perception will help you where you can actually come back when your dungeon master kind of tries to screw you over. And I'm not saying that every dungeon master is going to do that, but to keep the game exciting, to keep the level playing field, when you have a character that you've built really, really well, and your dungeon master has set the creature and monster pool to mitigate the damages for the entire party, where it's balanced for some of your members, but you just go through and just start wiping through guys, there may be a balance. And that balance may come in the form of psychic damage. And a lot of times for creatures to be able to put forth psychic damage, they usually have to have some, unless they're a caster, and you're not really going to charge into casters until your support creatures have determined what is going on. You can actually keep that from happening just with a perception roll. So that's why I like to have perception on this. That's just a little hint for you. If you don't have to do that, it's totally up to you. Now, fighting style. Okay. Now, to start off with, we're going to do great weapon fighting because that's what we're doing. We're doing great weapon, and that's just for this. Also, second wind. Now, we're going to continue. Let's finish building out our character, and then we'll move on. Because of the way we do our games on Tuesday night, we're going to set it up with the same situation. I'm going to do 15 for strength. Constitution is going to be 14. Then I'm going to run to wisdom or wisdom saving throws. That happens a lot. It's really weird. A lot of times I get into these games and so many saving throws are wisdom. Now, some people will say just do dexterity, then do wisdom, then charisma and intelligence. Now, the charisma and intelligence, you can flip-flop them back and forth. That's completely up to you. The big thing is you want to make sure your strength and constitution are there. That's the primary one. Now, I'm more of a person that likes to do strength over constitution. You have a lot of amazing players that have been playing D&D for years that are like diehard. Constitution is number one all the time. Hey, respect it. Go for it. That's completely you. For me, it's not like that. Now, we have a +3 modifier for the fighter. Total score is 16. We do get to add, I get to add 2 more points because of how we set up our stuff. So I'm going to add one of those points into Constitution, which is going to raise my score to 16. And I'm going to give the other one into Strength only because I know it's going to help whenever I add another point later. Because I intend to add polearm proficiency in my guy, I know that I'm going to be using a feat on my first ability score uptick, and then after that I'll have both polearm master and great weapon master just running through. I probably won't take any more feats until maybe later levels, and I'm going to start stacking my strength and constitution. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, sorry. Now, some people will say, hey, stack up your strength to 18 to start. Why not? Okay, what if we did that? Well, that's going to make you ridiculously hitting hard. And because we're starting off as a fighter, we can do heavy armor to start. Remember, we're not going to give up heavy armor until level 7 or 8 when we go to Barbarian. And by doing that, then you can start stacking your constitution. Because remember, you still have ability scores. And we're only getting, because we're using a variant human, we only have to use one ability upgrade to get that second feat. You see where my brain's going with this? All right, let's move on to the next part. Okay, background. Now, there's a lot of different ones. I love athletes because of their acrobatics and specificities, but let's be honest. Let's go with the soldier. Skill proficiencies are going to be where we can do our deception checks, we can do investigations, performance persuasions. I like doing the ones that are strength-based, only to help out. So I may do something along the lines of let's do a survival, and let's do, just for fun, a medicine. Now, I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, just trust me on this one. Okay, I'm gonna play a playing card set, just for the fun of it. Military rank. Military encampments and things like that is really cool. I'm gonna be stare down a hellhound without flinching. That sounds pretty good. Haunted by the memories of war, I can't get the images of violence out of my mind. I enjoy being strong and breaking things. I have a crude sense of humor. Well, that sounds like Tank to me right there. Okay, so we're going to take those two. For his ideals, I like the responsibility. Okay, his bond, my honor is my life. That sounds good to me. Let's just say hatred of my enemies is blind and unreasoning. Why not? Details, alignment. Let's make him a lawful neutral guy. Lawful, neutral. For faith, let's just do this. There is a God, ... I am not him. Perfect. Okay, lifestyle. We're going to pick the modest lifestyle, 1 GP. It's just how I am. Traits, hair, long brown. Skin. We're just going to say it's ruddy and sun scarred, because he's been out in the world, you know. His eyes, let's just give him some gray eyes. Why not? His height, we're going to say he's 5'11". His weight is going to be 225. And we're just going to say that he's 29 years old. Okay, and we're just going to say he's male. Now, I'm not saying Tank is any of these things. This is just the character. Okay. We've already done all of that. Let's go on to this. Next. Okay. Equipment to start. We're going to do chainmail. Okay. We're going to do... It says 2 martial weapons. I'm going to give him a martial weapon and a shield for now, but I'm going to choose the option. I want to use a great axe. Now, this is just me. Now, some people say, well, take a pike or a halberd. Those are heavy, and we may do polearm, and they are considered great weapons. So I'm going to take the halberd. I'm going to do 2-hand and an explorer's pack. I can take a dagger, and I already have a deck of cards, so I'm going to take a set of bone dice. Now, for your different weapons, you could do pike, trident, war picks, halberds. You could do great axe and great sword. But the key for me, though, is, or glaive. The key for me is I will be doing polearm master. So I want the reach. So I'm going to take the halberd. This is just my thought process going forward. Add to starting equipment. Here we go. We're going to wear. Okay. The problem with the halberd, it is heavy, reached, and it is two-handed. So it's going to be almost impossible for me to wear the shield. But we'll just say that it's in our arms. Okay. And the double hand axes, this part right here. The daggers, they're available, and we're wearing our chainmail. Now, talk to your dungeon master. You may say that you're wearing the shield, okay, buckled to your arm, and you're still holding the halberd, and you swing down, and when you come back, the shield's in front. Sometimes your dungeon master will let you get away with it. Sometimes they won't. If he won't, you got to drop the shield and do two hands on the halberd. That's completely up to you. And your dungeon master. My dungeon master is pretty cool about that stuff because I described how my character is going to work. The shield will be strapped to his arm. The lower hand of his arm and shield will be on the halberd. So when he swings, the shield goes out of the way and he swings full body or jabs and then comes back, and now the shield's in front of his body. He may give me a disadvantage on shield blocks because I'm not holding it, it's just being worn. That's up to your dungeon master. Talk to your dungeon master, because if you're describing your idea of a character saying, okay, I know that this normally doesn't make sense, but I have this really cool idea about how it's going to be used. Just give me like a shield block penalty to where I can't just use all the skills of the shield, but I'm going to keep the AC of having it strapped to my body. They may give you that. They may not. It just depends. And if you're showing the creativity of how your character is unique, Dungeon Master may literally go, that sounds like a great idea, and give you that possibility. So now we're going to look at our character. Here we go. Tank the Tech. Tank the Raging Tech. His strength is +4. Already, his strength is up to 18. Constitution's 15. Armor class is 18 +1 on initiative. Walking speed proficiency bonuses. He only has 12 hit points, but that's going to change very quickly. Remember, he is level 1. Okay. The halberd is there, 1d10 +4 slashing, two-handed. The reach is 10 feet, so you can still stay out. Good ideas. Okay, we're talking about second wind after short rest, two-weapon fighting. This is a typical situation for a standard level 1 fighter. Now, to get to the barbarian part, we got to fill out this fighter and make him a battle master. Let's continue on. We're going to start managing our levels. All right, let's go to level 2. All right, second wind, action surge. Now, starting at level 2, you can push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. On your turn, you can take one additional action. Once you use this feature, you must do a long or short rest before you can do it again. Starting at the 17th level, you can use it twice before a rest and only once on the same turn. Here's the key. The reason why we're doing 2 levels of Barbarian is to get the rage and the bonus of the rage in those first 2 levels, but staying within the pocket of the martial abilities of the fighter. So we're just taking the fact of rage from Barbarian and just adding that feature to the fighter's already set up situations. You want to make sure that you don't go beyond 2 levels of Barbarian, because when you get to level 17 as a fighter, you get that second action surge. With which, because you're going to have 4 attacks, in one turn, if you rage, stack 2 action surges in 2 different turns, within 2 rounds in a battle, there are very few creatures, other than major bosses and dragons, that are going to be able to be, I'm good with this. You're going to be tearing through people. Because you have Polearm Master, Great Weapon Master with the rage. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's go to level 3. Okay, on level 3, Martial Archetype. This is where it gets kind of crazy. We're going to pick Battle Master because of the maneuvers and the Student of War. Combat Superiority. When you choose this archetype at level 3, you learn maneuvers that are fueled by special dice called Superiority dice. Student of War. You got to choose an artisan tool. I like taking Smith's tools because I like to be able to repair my stuff in the field. Maneuvers. There's a lot of maneuvers. My favorite ones for me are, there are so many different ones. It just depends upon how you do it. I like lunging attack. You can expend your 1 superiority die, increase the reach for an attack by 5 feet. If you hit and the superiority die, the attack's damage roll. You already have 10 feet of distance because it's a long weapon. Now you're doing 15. You're hitting enemies 3 squares away before they're even close to you. So you're not even within melee damage range, but you're able to use superiority dice to do a lunging attack to start. I do like using my, I can't remember which one it is. Let me see. Is it this one? No, not Commander Strike. Commanding Presence. This is where I keep forgetting these. Okay, I like maneuvering attack. That was one. And I do like pushing attack. Now, these are just to keep your enemy at distance. The thing about it is you're requiring your you can play with these depending upon how you like to fight. Some people love ambush. You make a dexterity stealth check on an initiative roll. You can expend 1 superiority die and add the die to the roll if you want to ambush. Bait and switch, disarming attack, distracting strike, evasive footwork. A lot of people love when you move, you can expend 1 superiority die, rolling the die and adding it to the number rolled to your AC until you stop moving. Okay, there are all these different ones. Feint attack, goading attack. Goading attack is a fun one too. You're trying to get, it's kind of like, goading attack is the closest thing to taunt. You know, when you're playing World of Warcraft, you're doing the taunt and you're making people attack you to stay on you. The problem with goading attack is because we're going to be going into our Barbarian, we're talking about putting out a lot of damage and killing things before they can turn around and kill you. So goading attack may not be the best thing. Grappling attack, menacing attack, parry, precision attack. Some people love precision attack. Because precision attack, if you start rolling into stuff that has a very high AC, this precision attack can allow you to hit that attack roll. So it just really depends upon what people are into. So some people love this stuff. Rally's a good one, but we're going to take riposte. Okay, lunging attack, riposte, precision attack. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to expend 1 superiority die to make a melee weapon attack against a creature. If you hit, you add the superiority die to the attack roll's damage. Here's the key. Right now, at 18 AC, the odds of an enemy attacking you and missing are fairly high. Use that to your advantage. Get an extra attack in. Because you're swinging with great weapon, and when we get Polearm Master, you're swinging with this halberd, you can stack up ridiculous damage. You just have to watch your superiority die. So that's what I like for this character. People play fighters in different ways. Because I'm using polearm, because I'm using such a long reach with the 10 distance, lunging attack, riposte, precision attack, that's how I like to do because I'm going for it. Let's go to level 4. Level 4, score improvement. This is where we're going to do the feat option. Now, after this feat, we probably will not have to do another feat unless we want to augment the Barbarian with some sort of Barbarian feat that allows him to mitigate damage later. That's up to us. But for this one, yep. Let's look for P, Polearm Master. When you take the attack action and the attack action only with glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear, you can use a bonus action to make a melee attack with the opposite end of the weapon. This attack uses the same ability modifier as the primary attack. The weapon's damage die for this attack is D4 and it deals bludgeoning damage. While you're wielding a glaive, halberd, or quarterstaff or spear, other creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they enter your reach. That means that when an enemy enters 10 feet of you, before they get to attack you, you get to attack them. Before they can get to 5 feet range, if they get within 10 feet of you, even if they're, this is one of the best parts. Let's say you're in the vanguard, you're in the middle of a line of your party. You have a cleric to one side, you've got an artificer to your left or a cleric to your left, or whatever combination, monk, whatever. You keep them within 5 feet of you. If someone gets within 10 feet of you because they get within 5 feet of your companion, before they get to do anything, you make sure your Dungeon Master knows. Polar Master says, I'm going to jab this guy before he even gets a chance to attack my friend. And sometimes, if your magic users have buffed everything and hindered and Eldritch Blast, magic missile for the wizards, or whatever case may be, you don't know. Those characters may just be 1 or 2 hits away. And if you crit, this gets really ugly really fast. Here's the best part. That's the 4th level. Let's move on. Level 5, it just gets better because everyone knows that at level 5, extra attack. We're going to attack twice. We're going to do it twice every turn. Let's go to level 6. All right, level 6. Ability score improvement. Now we're just going to get ugly. Now, I've already done the 2 feats that I want. Now I get to boost my ability scores. Now, we've already looked at the fact that our ability scores right now, we're at 18. If we want to, we can boost up to 20 right now in strength, which makes us devastating. And remember, I'm just talking about standard weapons. By the time you get to level 6, you may have a +1 weapon, a +2 weapon. You don't know. But in case you don't, and we're playing with the original weapons, you're still hitting like a tank. Now, you have the option to do 1 and 1. Give 1 point into strength, knowing that it's not going to raise your modifier. But by putting 1 in Constitution, you will. Let's see what the differences are. Let's go back. Let's take a look at that. Let's say we put them both in strength. Now, our strength is maxed at 20. Our strength is set at 20. So now you're looking at +8 on your hits. And this is without any modifiers to your hit. This is without any special weapons, special gear, items, anything that would enhance your hit score. You're still hitting +8 right now. You're running with 52 hit points, but your armor class is 18. When we go and add our Barbarian, then we have to think about a few things. Because when you get to Barbarian, your attack is going to enhance, but you're going to have to get rid of that heavy armor, which means your AC is going to drop to 16. But you're going to have the mitigation of rage. But you have the attack bonuses of rage. This gets really fun to play in the next level. But for the fun of it, let's go back. What if we don't boost up to 20? What if we raise the Constitution? I'm going to change one of these to Constitution. Now we're going to be only up to 19 on the strength, but we've crossed that line terminator and now we're to 16 on Constitution. It raises our max hit points by only 4. But our Constitution saves are higher, and it's that those 4 hit points in the overall sense, not as important as that extra hit die across the line. So for me, I'm going to do double strength. I'm just going to max out my strength to 20. And then from there, this is this is just how I am. Because in my party, I know that I have a monk or a bard on one side, a cleric on the other, and I may get blessed. Bardic Inspiration. So on those rolls, if you get blessed and we get certain rolls or saving throws, my AC may not be as important. My Constitution may not be hit as bad. Because I'm doing so much damage with the rest of my party, you may never know what's going on. It's worth the risk to me. So let's move on. Now we're going to go to level 7. Now, when we do level 7, this is where we're going to do something a little different. Going to 7, and we're adding another class, Barbarian. Now we've added the Barbarian at level 1. We're going to do all of our knowledge features. Now we're going to go back to our class features. Hit points, proficiencies are going to be there. Proficiencies at level 1. Shields, simple weapons, martial weapons, rage. Okay, we know about the rage, and the unarmored defense. Now, this is where it gets a little weird, because remember we talked about our dexterity modifier or your constitution modifier. So now, when we're looking at this, now we're looking at this in a different level. If we go unarmored, now this really depends upon the situation with your dungeon master in regards to the features and traits, being an unarmed fighter versus armed fighter, because then your proficiencies lie based upon your dexterity and your constitution, which is only 1 and 2. If we had put that extra point off of strength and instead put it to constitution, I'm just going to change it so you see what it looks like. Now your armor class is 16. And look at your hit points. Look at the jump. So we take that down. That's 8 hit points and an entire AC number. So, when we talked about the risk, do we want to do the constitution save, the constitution point, or do we want to double up and go max strength? Now you're like, well, now that you've done that old school, I see why some people put 1 point in constitution to make it a 16 and leave strength at a 19, because instead of being borderline squishy, now you're still mitigated at 16 on your AC, and you're using the mitigation of rage, which means when you're raging, you take half damage. Except for psychic, you take half damage on everything. That's the catch. So we're going to go back. I wanted to show you what happens when you engage that situation with when you're dealing with that situation. At the 7th level, know your enemy. Check that out. It'll kind of, yeah. Okay, so now we've done all this. Okay, we're now at a total level of 8 for the character, but we're 7 and 1. Okay, now we're going to go back and look at our character. You're going to see that we're down to +7 instead of +8, but our armor class is up another one. Now we've lost 2 AC points, but we've gained the ability of rage to mitigate damage. The bonuses of rage attack far outweigh the fact that now you're going to be mitigating your damage and your armor class is down by 2. That's not that bad. That's not bad at all. Let's continue. The next and last level that I'm going to show you guys is going to be when we put the 2nd level of Barbarian on. Hit points go up to 87, and we get to add Reckless Attack. Okay? With Reckless Attack, now you're doing advantage on attack, advantage rolls on your attack recklessly, but you don't get the mitigation of the damage like you did before, and you get danger sense. So now this character is no longer just a strong fighter. Oh, and by the way, you get your +8 now for reckless attack and your bonuses. Advantage on dexterity against effects that you can see while not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. So now your dexterity saving throws, even though it's +1, you get the advantage on saving throws. Efficiency bonus is +4. Your initiative is +1. As you progress now, you can take that extra 2 points when you change level. From here on out, you're stacking fighter levels. and fighter abilities. Starting at level 9, this character gets scary as hell against anybody you fight. Because of the way it stacks its abilities, it can use all the fighter maneuvers while in rage. Reckless attack, action surge. The possibilities are endless. The only thing that can keep you from going completely apeshit on people is your dungeon master going, I don't like that, and then doing some kind of mitigation that ruins your day based upon what special skills it gives a monster. I think you're going to be okay. Just to give you an idea, let's look what happens when your character continues to get bigger and badder. Now, the journey with this character, again, is based upon the fact that this is a long-term build. Because on the next one, we're now adding that strength to get to 20. And now we're going to start stacking that Constitution score. One level. When we get to level 10, you just become a nasty bastard. You're just a nasty guy. You're going into fights and you don't care. You're not wearing a single bit of armor and you're just going nuts on people. Level 11, then you just start getting weird. Because at level 9, on the class features, Indomitable comes up. You can re-roll saving throws that you fail. If you do so, you must use a new roll. Can't use this feature, get into a long rest. That's just a fun one. We go up to level 10, which is a total of 12. We're going to get improved combat superiority. Your superiority dice turns into D10s. So now your superiority dice are ridiculous. They were D8s, now they're D10s. So the possibilities become even worse. It's just getting more and more devastating. We're up to 3 attacks now. Per turn. In other words, now creatures are trying to kill you before you get a chance. Oh, well, this is horrible. I can't believe this happened. Now your armor class is up to 17 because we just added 2 more Constitution. We're 1 off from 20, and now your hit points are 146. And you get mitigation from rage, unless you do your reckless attack. Which, if you get someone where your dungeon master goes, oh, the monster's looking really rough, then let's go for it. You're just going for killing blows at that point. Let's take a look. At 13, we did those for 13. Now we're going to go up to 14. Oh, another one. Now, if you do the ability score, you're going to do Constitution. But at that point, you're just looking at Dexterity. Now you're pretty much maxed. So some people will actually take this one instead and do a feat. It's up to you. Because at this point, there's a very good chance you found an item or you found a weapon that increases ability score on something up to 20 or whatever. So in those cases where you're like, you found this item and it's +1 to your strength, and then, so you don't put it in that when you put it in Constitution, so you're already at 20. But at this point, if you are at 20, now you're looking at your armor class is now 19. Because not only did you add to your Constitution, but your Dexterity hit to 14. Because remember, as a Barbarian with Unarmored, your armor class is determined by both your Constitution and your Dexterity modifier. So by doing this ability score improvement on this second to last level, you bring your Dexterity up to a modifier score of 14, which gives you that extra 1, and your Constitution max out. That's an extra 1. You go from 17 to 19 in armor class in 1 ability raise. We're getting really close to the end. We're kind of almost all the way down to our last levels. At this point, it's just getting really, really ugly. Level 15. Relentless. Starting at level 15, when you roll initiative, you have no superior dice remaining. You regain one. Why the hell not? 16. Now you can add 2 to your dexterity if you want. But if you do, it's going to raise your AC up to 20. I'll even show you what it looks like. Now your AC is 20. Your dexterity, the saving throws are getting a little crazy. And you're hitting plus 11 on your health. This is without any extra gear, any items, any special conditions that have occurred to your party. As we know happens as you develop gear and you start picking up items and stuff. All these things are just because of the base equipment he's wearing. What if we went with a feat instead? Let's go back. What if we change that up and instead of doing that extra 2, what if we did a feat instead? Which feat would go well here? Well, you have a few different ones. You have Slasher, which is you have Sentinel. Sentinel is ugly on this. When a creature with when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the creature's speed becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks from you even if they use disengage. When a creature within 5 feet of you makes a melee attack against a target other than you, you can use your reaction to do a melee attack. Now, not only do enemies that enter within 10 feet of you around people you're playing with get attacked by you for opportunity. Now, if they hit one of your friends, you get to use your reaction against them. It can get really, really ugly. I love Sentinel because of the ability of range hit up to 10 feet with that pole arm. Last level. I'm sorry, second to last level. Okay. Already done that at 16, 17. It's just more and more hit points, more and more stuff. Last one. Improve superiority combat. We told you that the superiority dice that you've been using for your skills were moved from D8 to D10. When you get to your last level, level 20 of your character, the final level of your character, if your campaign goes to that level, your superior dice turn to D12s. And then your character, and this character right here, has no special weapons, no special gear, no items, nothing to augment it. It's just, he's just a ridiculous monster. So this is what I would do if I brought Tank the Tech into my D&D game. I would turn him into a raging Tank the Tech that both mitigates damage and throws more melee damage than probably any character in the game in a basic multi-class build. This thing is ugly. This thing is nasty. And this is why I'd let Tank the Tech be this guy in my battle. My name is Old School Nerd. This was creating a D&D character using friends and people I've seen on YouTube. He's just so nasty. He's like, his attack power is so nasty, it would be like if Tank didn't wash his beard or comb it out for a year. Now take that level of nasty and turn it into battle rage. That's what we're talking about.